Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another session on income tax. Today we are discussing a new insertion which is under section 271 AAD of Income Tax Act 1961 on account of February budget 2020. And this new insertion is actually a penalty provision for issuing fake invoices. Now let's get into details. As I mentioned earlier, this new penalty provision will be effective from 1st April 2020 onwards. So before understanding or before moving on to the penalty, let's understand the background for this new insertion. Okay, there were plenty of fraudulent availment of input tax credit under the GST regime because the people are coming up with a fake purchase invoices and they are usually claiming fake input tax credit in the GST regime. And it has been done through, again, fake invoices. And in many instances, there were organized rackets who are actually issuing these fake invoices for actually helping the others in the industry. Okay, so its reflections are there in the Income Tax Act as well. How? Say for example, one person has given me a fake purchase invoice, then I will show it as an invoice and I will reduce my profit, right? And indirectly, its impact is there in the Income Tax Act 1961 as well. So in order to curb these kinds of practices, a new penalty under section 271 AAD has been introduced as a part of February 2020 annual budget. And let's understand what exactly is this new penalty. So if a person's books of accounts contains any false entry or an omission of any entry to evade tax liability, if there is a false entry or if there is an intentional omission of any entry to evade tax liability. Say for simple example, I have incorporated a fake purchase invoice in my books of accounts for reducing my profits. So it can be called as a false entry, right? Then the AO may direct to put such penalty under this section. Then the AO can invoke 271 AAD and charge penalty from that particular person. Now there is an explanation. False entry includes an entry in the books of accounts which is evidenced by a falsified documents. That means on support of a fake bill, if you have put a fake purchase entry, it can be called as a false document. That's what, or a false entry. That's what the explanation states about. So let's move forward. Now the penalty. Now let's understand the penalty. The amount of penalty is a sum equal to aggregate amount of such false and omitted entries. Simple. For example, I have shown 1 lakh rupees fake invoice. Okay, there was a fake invoice of rupees 1 lakh in my books of accounts, and the AO noticed that this is a fake invoice. Then what is the penalty? 100% of this 1 lakh will be the penalty under section 271 AAD. That means even though I'm not supposed to claim 1 lakh as my deduction because it is a fake bill, I'm supposed to pay a penalty of rupees 1 lakh under section 271 AAD. Why? Because I've shown a false entry. Okay. And now the next question is, who is required to pay the penalty? Normally we know the person who has shown this fake invoice in his books of accounts are required to pay the penalty, right? So that's what the act says, the person in whose books the false entry or omission appears. Say for example, in your books, there is false entry in your books. Say you have incorporated a false entry of rupees 1 lakh. Then what happens? You are supposed to pay a penalty of rupees 1 lakh. And also the person who induces the assessee to commit such an act is also supposed to pay 1 lakh. Simple example I can say, Mr. A, my friend, has given me a fake invoice. Okay. And I've claimed this fake invoice in my books of accounts. Then what happens is the assessing officer quote both of us. Then JK is also supposed to pay a penalty for that fake invoice, and also Mr. A is also supposed to pay penalty for that fake invoice. That's what they are saying. The person who induces the assessee to commit such an act is also liable to pay penalty under 271 AAD. That's what the act says. So both Mr. JK is supposed to pay 1 lakh. Along with that, Mr. A is also supposed to pay another 1 lakh as penalty. This is what 271 AAD is all about. The person who issues is also required to pay the penalty. And again, there is one more note. This penalty is an addition to all other existing penalties under the Income Tax Act 1961, because there are existing penalty provisions in Income Tax Act 1961, and this 271 AAD 100% penalty is over and above the existing penalties, because the existing penalty will come along with that. You have to pay additional penalty under 271 AAD. That's what the act says. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching my video. See you on next Sunday with yet another interesting topic on income tax. Take care and bye-bye.